been fortunate enough to be granted permission for her research off the California coast a second time, but she was careful to keep a low profile, not wanting to draw attention to the presence of the dolphins. They could travel 50 miles easily and were difficult to track on a daily basis, but this group, as well as many others, often called to her using the same whistle. It was very unusual to have the dolphins identify her and give her a name, and she was particularly pleased that they knew she was back after her long absence. Abigail rolled over and swam belly to belly with Kiwi, a large adult male who had formed a tight bond with Bosco, another male. The two males normally swam in synchronization, their movements an astonishing underwater ballet. Bosco curved his body in the exact motion at precisely the same time as Kiwi, and swam close to Abigail as the three of them made a lazy loop together, while several other dolphins danced in a long curving circle as if they had choreographed every move ahead of time. Dancing with dolphins was exhilarating. Abigail studied, photographed, and recorded dolphins, but tonight she was simply enjoying them. Her equipment, always with her, was nearly forgotten as they performed the strange, intriguing ballet for the next 40 minutes. At first, the red of the sinking sun spotlighted them in a fiery gold, but as dusk fell and the night darkened, it was much too difficult to continue, much as she wanted to stay. Reluctantly, Abigail pointed to the surface and shifted position to begin her ascent. The dolphins swam around her in loose circles, their bodies flexible, unimpeded by their heavy muscles and enormous strength. It was surprising how the dolphins could rocket through the water, diving as deep as they did and using so little oxygen. Abigail found them fascinating. She surfaced, pushing her mask on top of her head and lying back to float as she stared up at the big round ball in the sky. Her soft laughter echoed across the water. Waves lapped at her body and splashed over her face. She allowed her legs to gently sink so she could tread water as she stared in awe at the white caps, turned into sparkling jewels by the brilliance of the full moon. Beside her, a bottlenose dolphin surfaced, circling her in a graceful loop. The dolphin shook its head from side to side, emitting a series of squeaks and clicks. She struck out for her boat, a lazy crawl, whistling to the dolphins in the short, chirpy goodbye she always used. It took only a few minutes to stow her camera and recorder before climbing in. Shivering, she again glanced at her watch. Her sisters would be very worried, and she was in for a lecture she knew she deserved. The dolphins poked their heads out of the water, grinning at her, round black eyes shining with intelligence. "I'm going to get in big trouble thanks to you two," she told the males. They shook their heads at her in perfect synchronization and dove together, disappearing beneath the surface, only to come up on the other side of her boat, whistling and squawking at her. Abigail shook her head just as firmly. "No, it's dark. Or it would be if the moon weren't so full. You two are really trying to get me one of Sarah's lectures. When she starts, the rest of us cringe." While she had everything fresh in her mind, she sank down onto the cushioned seat and hastily scribbled notes on her observations. She recorded everything to look at later. But she always dictated while she was driving the boat after first jotting down details of sightings and any identifying marks of new dolphins in the area. It was important to her study to get DNA samples to test for pesticides and any other man-made toxins in the dolphin systems, as well as for communicable diseases and, of course, family ties. Bosco whistled, a distinct note that made her smile. Abigail leaned over the side of the boat. "Thanks for giving me a name, boys, but it isn't enough to make me risk a Sarah lecture. I'll see you tomorrow, if you haven't taken off." She'd let the time get away from her, so that darkness had really fallen as she wrote out her notes. She was still a good distance from home, and she heaved a sigh, knowing she wouldn't get away unscathed this time.